Something big is quietly taking shape in your life, Leo, and this video is going to show you exactly where to look for it. 10 small, easy-to-overlook signs that a major change is already building beneath the surface of your everyday experience. Watch all the way through because these signs are subtle, they do not arrive with announcements, and if you do not know what to look for, you can easily move right past them without realizing what they mean. But once you see them clearly, once you understand what they are pointing toward, you will be able to meet what is coming with intention instead of surprise, with readiness instead of confusion. There is a particular kind of change that does not begin with a bang. It begins with a whisper, with a feeling, with a small shift in the texture of daily life that most people dismiss as coincidence or mood or nothing worth paying attention to. Leo, what we are talking about here is exactly that kind of change, the kind that builds slowly, almost invisibly, and then arrives with a force that reshapes everything. You have been in a season of preparation, whether or not it has felt that way. The small signs we are about to walk through are the evidence of that preparation reaching its completion. Something is ready to move. And here is how you can tell. Sign 1. The first small sign that big change is brewing for you, Leo, is a subtle but persistent restlessness that is different in quality from ordinary boredom or everyday dissatisfaction. There is a specific kind of restlessness that arrives in the body and the spirit not when life is meaningless, but when life is about to expand, when the container you have been living in is no longer quite large enough for who you are becoming, and the pressure of that growth is beginning to make itself felt in your day-to-day experience. Most people, when they feel this kind of restlessness, assume something is wrong. They try to soothe it, to suppress it, to find a way to settle themselves back into the familiar rhythm of the life they have been living. But for Leo, this particular restlessness is actually a sign of health, of vitality, of movement. It is the signal of a sign that is built to expand and lead and create, finally receiving the push it needs to break through whatever has been containing it. The restlessness you may have been feeling lately, that sense of being slightly too large for the current shape of your life, of sensing possibilities at the edges of your awareness that have not yet fully arrived, is not a problem to be solved. It is a signal to be honored. It is the first small sign that something significant is in motion, that the season of staying still is reaching its natural end, and that the movement you have been sensing without being able to name is genuinely on its way. Pay attention to how this restlessness feels specifically. Notice what it is pointing toward, which areas of your life it intensifies around, which thoughts or desires it seems to accompany, which moments of your day it is most present. Because within the texture of that restlessness is a directional signal, a pointing toward something, and that something is at the heart of the big change that is brewing for you now. Sign 2. The second small sign that major change is building for you, Leo, is the way certain memories have been surfacing, not in a painful or overwhelming way, but in a quieter, more contemplative way, as if your inner self is doing a kind of inventory, looking back at the path you have traveled in order to understand more clearly where you are heading. When significant change is approaching, the mind and spirit often begin a natural process of review. Old experiences come forward not to haunt but to be reconsidered with new eyes, to be seen differently from the vantage point of who you have become, to offer their lessons in a form you may not have been ready to receive when they originally happened. If you have been noticing this, if old situations, old feelings, old versions of yourself have been coming to mind with a quality of reflection rather than regret, that is a meaningful sign. It means your inner self is preparing you. It is doing the work of integration, of gathering the wisdom from where you have been so that it can be carried forward intentionally into what is coming. This is not random. The specific memories that are arising, the particular periods of your life that are coming back into focus, the recurring themes or feelings that seem to be insisting on your attention, all of these are related to the change that is brewing. They are arising because they hold something relevant to what you are about to step into, some understanding, some resolution, some piece of your own story that needs to be acknowledged and integrated before the next chapter can fully begin. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Sign 3. The third small sign that big change is approaching, Leo, is a shift in your appetite, not necessarily your physical appetite for food, though that can be part of it, but your appetite for experience, for stimulation, for the kinds of conversations and environments and activities that you find genuinely nourishing and alive. When something significant is building in a person's life, Their tastes tend to shift in alignment with who they are becoming. Things that used to hold their interest may begin to feel flat or stale. Activities that were once satisfying may start to feel like they are no longer quite the right fit. And at the same time, new interests may be stirring curiosity about things you never paid much attention to before. A pull toward certain types of people or places or ideas that have a quality and an energy that resonates with something in you that is still emerging. These shifts in appetite and interest are not signs of fickleness or inconsistency. They are signs of growth, of a self that is expanding beyond its previous edges, reaching toward new forms of nourishment and stimulation that match who it is becoming rather than who it was. For Leo, this kind of shift can feel exciting and a little disorienting at the same time, because there is a part of you that is deeply loyal to what you know and love, that values consistency and continuity and the deep pleasure of things that have been long and well established. When the appetite begins to shift away from the familiar, it can create a small internal tension. But that tension is itself a sign that you are genuinely growing, genuinely changing, genuinely preparing to step into something that has not yet had a name in your life. Sign 4. The fourth small sign that major change is brewing for you, Leo, is a change in the way time feels, specifically, a sense that certain things which once seemed very far away now feel surprisingly close, while other things that used to feel urgent now seem to have receded and lost their power over you. This telescoping and shifting of your relationship with time is one of the subtler, but more reliable signs that a significant transition is approaching. Time feels different when you are on the verge of something real. The things that are genuinely relevant to your next chapter tend to feel suddenly near, suddenly present, suddenly real in a way they were not before. And the things that belong to a chapter that is closing, the concerns and worries and preoccupations that consumed you in a previous period, may begin to feel oddly distant, as if they were happening to a version of you that no longer quite exists. If you have been noticing this kind of temporal shift, if the future feels closer and more alive than it usually does, if certain parts of your past feel suddenly much further behind you than they did recently, that is a meaningful sign. It is the sign of a self that is reorienting, that is being drawn toward what is coming and releasing what is no longer needed with a naturalness and an ease that speaks to genuine readiness. The big change that is building for you, Leo, is not only changing your circumstances, it is changing your relationship with time itself. And that shift is one of the earliest and most telling signs that something profound is genuinely underway. Sign 5. The fifth small sign that big change is approaching, Leo, is the arrival of unexpected moments of clarity. Not forced insights produced through effort and analysis, but sudden unannounced moments of understanding that arrive in ordinary situations and carry a quality of truth that feels both surprising and completely obvious at the same time. These moments of clarity tend to arrive when the mind is quiet and the guard is down. In the middle of a mundane task, in the space between waking and sleeping, in a conversation about something entirely unrelated that suddenly sparks an insight about your own life. They feel like pieces falling into place, like the fog lifting for a moment and allowing you to see the landscape clearly, like something that you have been half knowing for a long time finally stepping fully into the light of your awareness. The content of these moments of clarity is important. It is worth paying attention to what they are revealing. But equally important is the fact that they are arriving at all, because the frequency and quality of these unannounced insights is itself a sign of how close you are to a significant shift. The mind and spirit tend to offer their clearest knowing precisely when a major change is imminent, as if the inner guidance system is providing the map just before the journey requires you to use it. If you have been experiencing moments like this, treat them with respect. Write them down. Sit with them. They are not random. They are the small, quiet voices of the big change that is already building beneath the surface of your life. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Sign 6. The sixth small sign that major change is brewing for you, Leo, is a subtle reordering of your priorities. A quiet but unmistakable sense that what mattered most to you before is beginning to shift, and that what is becoming most important to you now reflects a deeper and more genuine version of your values than what you may have been operating from previously. This is not a dramatic overhaul. It tends to happen gradually, almost imperceptibly, through small daily choices that begin to lean in a different direction, through the things you find yourself moving toward and the things you find yourself moving away from, through the conversations that light you up and the ones that now feel like obligations rather than genuine connections. For Leo, a sign whose values run deep and whose sense of identity is closely connected to what they stand for and what they love, this reordering of priorities can be both liberating and slightly unsettling. Liberating because it reflects growth, because it means the self is expanding beyond its previous edges and claiming something more genuinely its own. And slightly unsettling because change in values sometimes means change in lifestyle, in relationships, in the daily rhythms and commitments that have defined a life up to now. But this unsettledness is part of the sign. It is the feeling of genuine transformation at the level of what you actually care about, and there is nothing small about that, even when the visible signs of it are, in themselves, quite quiet. Sign 7. The seventh small sign of approaching big change for you, Leo, is a change in the way you are experiencing your own body and physical energy. A shift that may be subtle, but that reflects the movement happening at deeper levels of your being. When significant change is approaching, the body often registers it before the conscious mind does. You may notice that your energy has a different rhythm than usual, that you require more rest at certain moments or feel unexpectedly alive at others, that the physical signals your body sends about what it needs are becoming more insistent or more specific than they typically are. You may also notice a heightened sensitivity in general, to environments, to other people's energy, to food, to sound, to the subtle atmosphere of the spaces you occupy. This heightened sensitivity is not weakness. It is a sign of increased awareness, of a nervous system and an inner sensing system that are, in a sense, becoming more finely tuned in preparation for what is coming. The body is a remarkably intelligent system, Leo, and it tends to respond to approaching transitions with a kind of preparatory adjustment that is worth paying attention to. If you have been feeling physically different lately, in ways that are hard to explain or that do not quite fit the usual categories of sick or well, tired or energized, that may be part of the small but significant suite of signs that something big is building. Sign 8. The eighth small sign that major change is approaching, Leo, is the appearance of new people or new types of conversations in your life that seem to arrive at exactly the moment when you most needed a different perspective, a fresh energy, or a connection that resonates with who you are becoming rather than who you have been. The people who appear in our lives are not random, especially at the threshold of significant change. The individuals who show up in this period, even briefly, even in seemingly ordinary contexts, often carry something that is relevant to your next chapter. A piece of knowledge, a quality of energy, a way of seeing the world that complements or challenges or illuminates something in your own development. If you have been having conversations lately that feel unusually meaningful, if you have been meeting people whose company leaves you feeling more alive or more inspired or more clear about your own direction, if certain connections have been forming that have an unusual quality of resonance or rightness to them, those are signs. They are the people and conversations and connections that the approach of big change tends to gather around a person who is genuinely ready for something new. Sign 9. The ninth small sign of big change brewing for you, Leo, is a deepening relationship with what you genuinely believe, not about external matters but about yourself, about your own worth, your own capacity, your own right to take up space and pursue what genuinely calls to you. Something is solidifying in your self-concept, Leo. Beliefs that may have been tentative or conditional or dependent on outside confirmation are beginning to feel more settled, more genuinely your own, more like lived truth rather than aspirational ideas you are trying to convince yourself of. This solidification of belief in yourself, this growing certainty about your own worth and capability, is one of the most significant small signs that a big change is approaching. Because the external circumstances of a life tend to follow the internal state of a person with remarkable faithfulness. When what you believe about yourself shifts at a deep level, the world around you responds. Opportunities appear that were always there but that your previous self-concept filtered out. Relationships deepen or change because you are now showing up from a different place. Decisions become cleaner because the fog of self-doubt has lifted enough to allow genuine clarity to emerge. The change in what you believe about yourself is not just a sign of the bigger change approaching. It is one of its primary drivers. And it is worth honoring as the powerful internal movement that it is. Sign 10. The 10th and final small sign that big change is brewing for you, Leo, is the growing sense that you are exactly where you need to be, not in a resigned or passive way, but in a way that carries the quality of genuine readiness and genuine belonging in this particular moment of your life. This is perhaps the subtlest sign of all, and also the most comprehensive. It is the feeling of alignment of your inner self and your outer life meeting at a point that feels, for the first time in a while, genuinely congruent. Not perfect, not without challenges or questions or areas that still need work, but aligned in a way that suggests that the work of preparation has been done, that the foundation has been laid, and that the structure that is about to rise from it is going to be something genuinely magnificent. When Leo arrives at this feeling of alignment, quiet, steady, real, it is almost always the immediate precursor to a significant and beautiful expansion. The big change that has been brewing has not arrived yet in its full form. But this feeling, this small and profound sense of rightness about where you are in readiness for what is coming, this is its announcement. Pay attention to it. Let it settle into you fully. Because what is about to arrive deserves to be met with the full depth and power and warmth of who you truly are. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.